Good evening, sir. Mohan, sir.
சொல்லுங்க.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mohan, sir.
Good evening, Mohan, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Mohan.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, live streaming started, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sashi is there, no? Sashi is
Yeah.
okay.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think from the mobile, it is not visible. That's it.
No, okay.
Because I am joining through mobile, no?
Okay. Yeah, I am here.
So we'll start in another 2 minutes.
You will not.
Roger Vishwakarma has joined from VIP. Vishwakarma.
Hello, Dr. Sasikumar.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. We had not met for a long time. Okay, we have been meeting in CSI in Mumbai and many places, but I think
Okay.
we did not meet for a long time. I think.
Yes.
I have told my students also to join, but I think I don't know whether anybody will join because Monday exam will start from them, semester exam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Recording, can we start? Greetings and good evening to one and all. On behalf of the organizing units, IEEE Computer Society, ACM, and Computer Society of India, I extend a warm welcome to our today's speaker, Dr. Sasikumar, members and my colleagues from the organizing units, and the delegates who have joined the event through Google Meet meeting platform, and those watching the webinar through YouTube streaming. AI is gaining a lot of attention all over the world. The AI trained people are in demand. India has been providing human resources for global projects. Hence, developing and training people in AI has become a need of the hour to meet the requirement for our own use as well as for meeting the skill shortage across the world. Our today's program, India AI Preparing the Human Resources, is an attempt to provide the current scenario. Ministry of Electronics and IT has initiated the India AI program with the intention of energizing the AI work in the country. Under this, 7 committees were set up to look into the various critical aspects of the AI roadmap and suggest steps to be taken. Dr. Sasikumar was the chairman of one of the committees tasked with the human resource development. The committee looked into various aspects of this puzzle and have suggested measures, AI being among the fastest changing fields, and given the high degree of misunderstanding and hype associated with this field and the challenges of building an effective AI system, the plan needed to cater to the different types of stakeholders. So actually there was a need to look at awareness building, support activities like data processing, design and development of AI applications, undertaking cutting-edge research to stay on the front line, and so on. Actually, this type of all the matters have been discussed in the report, India AI 2023 Expert Group Report. This was recently released. This talk will look into the aspects of this and the recommendations made in that report. Now let me introduce our eminent speaker, Dr. Sasikumar, who has been a great supporter for our several programs for over 2 decades. Dr. Sasikumar is currently the Executive Director of CDAC Mumbai. He has been with CDAC since 1987 after completing his BTech from IIT Madras. He did his Masters from IISc Bangalore and Doctorate from BITS Pilani. His areas of interest are artificial intelligence, robotics, and educational technology. Dr. Sasikumar has initiated and nurtured a number of projects in this area of AI and e-learning during his career. The OLabs project has created 200 plus virtual labs for the schools and have received wide appreciation from CBSE and NCRT, particularly during the pandemic period. Dr. Sasikumar has over 100 publications to his credit, while 8 students have completed their PhD under his guidance. There are 3 more waiting. He has co-authored 2 books, one with the Principal India on parallel computing. Dr. Sasikumar was an adjunct faculty in the Department of Educational Technology for about 10 years. He has been a program committee member in a number of national and international conferences and has served as a member in the Board of Studies and Advisory Board of several institutions. In the context of the India AI initiative, he has been the chairman of the 5th committee concerned with the development of human resources. With this brief welcome note and about the event and also a brief introduction to the speaker, let me request Dr. Sasikumar to enlighten us on the need and the issues in preparing the human resources in AI in the current scenario. Over to Dr. Sasikumar.
Thank you, Mohan, for the detailed introduction on the subject as well as on my profile. So it's always a pleasure to come back to this forum. I know many of you have been into a lot of activities that has been happening under this umbrella. I keep seeing it on LinkedIn and other forums. So it's always nice to be part of this this group. Okay, so without waiting anymore, let me just kind of put up my slides. Can you give me, unshare whatever you're, okay, I think it is done now. I am not able to get, okay. So. Okay, so I hope my slides are visible. I will possibly switch off my video just in case of any bandwidth issues, etc. If things get a little difficult, I will switch it off. Till then, I'll make my face also available to you. Okay. Yes. Are the slides visible?
No, not yet. Not yet, sir.
No? Not yet? Okay. Oh, it is saying stop sharing and all that here. So, okay, it looks like there is a minor problem. It is stop sharing is not working on this. Something is happening. Okay.
Maybe you can
Just now
rejoin.
we checked it was all working. Yeah.
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 Maybe you can
Maybe.
rejoin.
Let me just reconnect. Okay. Let me try sharing the screen. Someone confirm whether the slides are visible now?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet.
Oh, why it is already sharing. It is showing it as shared and it is disabled the button also now. I don't know.
Maybe you have to go for presentation.
Yeah, yeah, it is in presentation mode. That's what it is saying that you are sharing another application window. So it's
Yeah.
showing something
Now it
else.
is fine. Now it is visible, sir.
It is visible? Okay, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe there's a lag. Okay. So this presentation is basically based on this committee work that we have been doing for the last 5-6 months. So I'll give a brief background of what was the idea. Although Mohan has already briefly mentioned that. And then I'll tell a little more detail about what the committee's focus was and what we have actually proposed. And then maybe we can take up any questions, etc. Okay, so the backdrop was that of course, like every country in the world, India is also very seriously looking at artificial intelligence. at the government level, at the industry level, at the society level, at every level, everyone is looking at AI as a game changer, as something that we need to be prepared for, as a very powerful technology that you need to get on top of, and all that kind of concerns. And there is also issues of taking up a leadership role in this critical technology. So all that India's various ministries have actually been have initiated various initiatives to adopt AI in their own spaces. And the MITI, which is our Central Union Ministry of Information Technology and Electronics, also came up with this plan called India AI. And so there is a India AI portal, there is an India AI group in the ministry, and a lot of work has been happening in that area. So understanding that there are critical areas to look at in terms of picking up an overall perspective, the ministry formed 7 working groups, and although this is not the exact title of the group, I'm putting a title which you can actually relate to. The actual titles have maybe a little more implicit interpretations. So there was something about creating centers of excellence in across India on various aspects of AI. And the India AI as an initiative, as well as the ministry, also has understood the critical role that the data is playing in the new wave of AI. So, data platform is another committee that was looking at how to create the data repositories, how to share it without compromising on privacy and other concerns. So, these are things that is being looked at by that committee. There is also a central, a national level data management office, which is also being talked about, and the third committee was basically looking at that. The government is obviously very, very seriously looking at the startup ecosystem across all the disciplines and various streams of engineering also. So AI is no exception. So particularly, what are the requirements of the startup system with respect to AI and what the government needs to do? Those kind of things are the focus of the AI startup ecosystem. And what I'm going to talk more in detail is the future skills one, which is how to develop or what are the human resource challenges as far as AI is concerned, and what should we do about it in terms of equipping India for those kind of requirements is the future skills committee. And the sixth committee is to look at the compute requirements, because today's most of the AI work requires not just a huge amount of data, but also a large amount of compute requirement. This could be in terms of storage, this could be in terms of computing power, and so on. So unless these things are provided, then you are not going to get yeah, let's see if I can put that. Okay, so this is something that is very critically from technology side, availability of data on one side and availability of compute on the other side are going to be critical. So there are 2 separate committees looking at it, and scaling these infrastructure at a national level was the focus of the last committee. So after about 4 or 5 months of deliberations within the committee, across the committees, and various multiple presentations to the ministry, a consolidated report was presented to the minister in charge, Sri Chandrasekharji, in October. And that is when the report has actually been made public for further processing. So the future skills group was basically the committee consisted of these members. I was invited to chair the committee, and we had people from the Sector Skill Council, Intel, Vadvani Institute, AICTE, and so on. And we also consulted other people as required with respect to the scope of the work. The scope of work for this committee was actually pretty broad, given that the nature of AI, which I'll elaborate in a minute. So to to assess what are we doing in the area of AI curriculum, what is the level of maturity of the skilling ecosystem, and to suggest model the syllabus and curriculum from across the levels from certificate to postdoctoral levels, and the framework for collaboration, roadmap for development of skill and talent. So this was the very initial terms of reference that we got from the ministry. And these have been kind of customized along the way, because understanding that certain things don't make a lot of sense, or certain things need to change in the perspective, so that you will see through the rest of the presentation. So before I get into this, let's kind of step back a little bit. So what does AI mean? So today, if you talk to a lot of companies or even academia, the current wave of AI, which is a highly data-driven, statistical kind of model that is spearheaded by deep learning and associated technologies, is what is considered as AI. And many companies and many AI professionals believe that AI is a relatively recent technology, about maybe 10 years, 15 years old. So it is important to understand that the AI is much older than that. And in fact, even in India, 1985, India was introduced to AI through a UNDP initiative. And that's one of the reasons I decided to join CDAC, because that was we were one of the nodal centers for AI at that time in 1987. So, and there were a few institutions identified for areas like machine translation, expert system, parallel logic programming, and etc. across India. And so and we also came up with international conference on AI called the KBCS series, which was run by my organization at that time for about 10, 15 years. We even managed to bring the prestigious international joint conference on AI, ISCAI, to India, held in Hyderabad in 2007. So there was a lot of that groundwork that has happened in those days. But in a sense, I can say that that was the symbolic AI part of it. So largely, expert systems, rule bases, frame-based reasoning, semantic network, graph models. These were the basic mechanisms at that time, and a lot of such techniques and all that. So it was using those models that a lot of AI applications were done. Today, the second wave of AI that we are seeing in particularly in Indian context is the one driven by deep learning, and this has been enabled by two different things. One, the a lot of development that has happened in the deep learning technology itself. Although the basic ideas of deep learning is more than 30, 40 years back, but the kind of sophisticated algorithms that have become available today, much richer data sets, which was much needed for these statistical models, and very powerful computing infrastructure has all become available today. And this has actually enabled the old dream of deep learning to become fruitful today. So we have been able to report a lot of success stories in this area. And today, when you say AI, this is the AI that people are actually keeping in mind, that the topmost game changer in people's mind. And the advent of generative AI, large language models, characterized by ChatGPT and related technologies, have seriously changed the landscape. And this is a very recent change in the last 2-3 years that we are actually seeing. And every nation and industry is looking to AI with this also as a focus. So this is something that we need to understand. But please understand that this is so new a technology that we don't even understand exactly where the limits are, what the challenges are. But everyone is looking to adopt these technologies very seriously. And also that's also one of the reasons why this manpower development or human resource development is a very serious issue. Okay, just to kind of confirm, I hope I am audible still. Can somebody just confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Because suddenly sometimes this disappears and I'll be talking and you will be all alone. Okay. So this is one reason also to look at why we are interested in looking at AI human resource development, because how do we build balanced human resources on this area? We have a reasonable amount of AI research work happening, particularly in the top tier institutions like IITs and few second tier institutions also. But this is one challenge that we have also noticed, that we need to grow much higher in terms of AI PhDs or AI publications for us to reach the goal of taking a leadership position. Now, if I look at the field of AI, I try to have created a mind map of what AI means, what are the pieces involved in it. I can share the mind map to anyone else who is interested in the full mind map. You can see a part of it on the screen. So why are we looking at AI as a special something for special attention? Why not all other areas of software technology, or why not all other areas of information technology, electronics, and other areas? Well, there are three, four reasons. One is I mentioned this a little before, that it's a very rapidly changing area. So as we speak, if you look at just last 6 months, last 1 year, last 2 years, there have been major breakthroughs, major changes that has happened on the landscape. So even building human resources, building human resource capabilities is a big challenge, because let's say an engineering curriculum which is a 4 year span requires you to anticipate what would happen 4 years down the line when when new students are entering the stream. But when the changes are so fast that if things are happening every year, every 2 years, this is a very difficult situation. So we need to have a very dynamic system where syllabus and curricula can be adapted on the fly while a student is actually working, enrolled in a course. The second part of the why AI is taking a special attention is a highly data-driven system, and this also is a challenge, because where do I get the data? How much data do I get? How do I know that the data that I'm getting is sensible, reasonable, adequate, and so on, so on? There are so many questions to ask there. So the attention is changing from the AI landscape in terms of algorithms or representation to the data that you are getting. So data engineering and related areas have become more important than the core AI disciplines today. The methodology for developing applications is also something we need to change, because we have understood even from the earlier AI wave that AI applications have a very different characteristics from the normal software technology applications. Partly because when you take let's say normal software application, when it produces an output, you are reasonably sure that the inputs are proper, the conditions are satisfied, and therefore there is a true or not true, or works or not works kind of a picture there. Whereas for AI applications, so I usually take this example, that if you build a system that is, let's say you use it to classify a person as a male or a female. Okay. And if you you train with a lot of different faces of people, and the system is trained and works well. And I actually go and give maybe a flask for a person, or a table or or something like that as input. The system is still forced to make a choice of male or female there. Right? So to be able to understand that this doesn't belong to my input category, and it is not appropriate input for me, is not easy to do in a purely data-driven model. Okay, so that's where you would produce outputs, but it may not be sensible. You need a lot of, and you will also produce outputs which have very degree of truth. So these all changes our concept of software development methodology that we all adopt in the industry as well as in academia. So therefore, we also need to make people aware that what is to be expected, what are the challenges in AI applications is different from other areas. And Mohan mentioned that there is a lot of misconceptions associated. There is a lot of hype there, and there are a lot of memes floating around in social media saying that being an AI expert is possibly faster than taking a flight from, from Chennai to Bombay, for example. People say it instantaneously produce AI expertise. So what is covered there? What is the level of depth or understanding of these technologies and algorithms for somebody like that is one concern there. What is the capability that AI can really address is something that we need to look at. So these are all some of the things that we need to keep in mind when we want to look at human resources. And AI is also not a very visible technology, unlike, for example, the user interfaces or many of these web applications, etc. It is not something that the user can see. It is something that goes underneath a lot of other areas. You only see the result in through suitable visualization tools. So these are some of the things that we should keep in mind at the back of our mind while we are looking at the human resource requirement. So I'll show you a few slides. People are all talking about what is India's gap there, what are the major areas to look at. So, like for example, what are the kind of things that Indian AI startups are looking at? What are the things that we're looking at the global business challenges, and so on, so on. Okay, so I won't go to get into all of this. You can see these things in the report, and there are in all of them there is a reference cited below, so you can go through those reports to see more of those. So this is another one on India's AI ecosystem is the adoption index, and we are only positioned as an enthusiast. Okay, there is so much work for us to go ahead. Now, I mentioned that we are very excited about the possibilities of AI. So much technological developments are happening, but there are also concerns about the negative potential for AI. I mean, you can also see a lot of news items concerned about, is this the right kind of thing for the people to do? Should we control AI's growth? I mean, just today there is a news about deep fake being need to control and, laws being enacted to do that. So these are also some of the challenges that is already people are noticing. And as I mentioned just now, the previous slide, that we are talking about AI which is highly data driven. So if your data contains any kind of bias in it, okay, or inaccuracies in it, your decisions can also get trained according to that. And these may not be visible to you because of the statistical nature. When we model knowledge in a symbolic form, somebody can audit it and check that, okay, see, why are you making this connection here, or why is this rule here? But in a statistical situation, when you are dealing with the millions or even more than that many data items, this is simply beyond human audit. Okay, so there are worries about biases and inaccurate data producing harmful consequences for different groups, or free biases creeping into the conversations or the decision that the system records. There is also people are concerned about job loss and privacy concerns, because lot of data that we are bringing into AI are actually very fine-grained data capturing people's behavioral characteristics. Is this appropriate? What is the consequence of this? This is also something that's a concern there. So therefore, ethics is something that need to be very seriously in. Where I'm advising as a board of studies member or advisory board in colleges, I am actually telling them that ethics need to be a mandatory course in any AI curriculum, because this understanding is very very critical. So, human resource development in the field of AI needs to equip the candidate with a balanced outlook and understanding of this field. And therefore, this is the picture that we actually wanted to pick up, and that's how the working group also looked at it. In terms of technology trends, again, so many studies are there on the online that you can find as to where AI is headed, what is the market size, what will grow, what will not grow. Again, I'm not going to get into all these details. You can refer to the appropriate literature. And of course, generative AI is getting the most amount of media space today, and in terms of outputs as well as in terms of the discussion that is going on. And the OpenAI, CEO getting ousted and bringing back, etc., is one of the hottest news that is just now going on. Okay, so this is also something obviously we have got to look at any AI curriculum. We need to make people aware of what is this about, what are the plus and minus, when to use these, etc. Because there is a lot of cases where people are saying, just you use generative AI to solve every problem. But that's a misunderstanding of what capability this has. So with the projected huge growth in AI space, demand for human resources has risen. Many engineering colleges have already introduced multiple streams, doubling or tripling their intake capacity to try to meet these requirement of manpower. But it is we all need to understand that human resource requirement in AI is much more than simply application development capabilities. So we are not talking about just engineering resources, but much wider scope of human resource capabilities, and that's what we wanted to look at. And this is the picture that we started with. So on the bottom, from school students to common public, domain decision makers like CEOs and CTOs, lawmakers, our MPs and MLAs, research scholars, and engineering and other higher education institutions, they all need to be under our umbrella in terms of what we need to do there, what change should we do in the curriculum so that they at least understand this as a key element. Because AI, as I said, it's not a visible technology, so it's not like I will work in this space necessarily. Every tool that you are going to be using now will possibly have some amount of AI in it. So there, that has impacts on what is the level of performance or level of efficiency or efficacy that these tools will have. So it is very important that all of us have a picture of what these technology is actually doing. There is also a lot of questions about what should we do at the school level. But minimally, we can look at the data engineering capabilities and building awareness about ethics and things like that. And beyond all these, what you are seeing on the slide, there is also professional courses and skill upgradation channels also that we need to look at. People who are already in the field doing something want to add on AI as an additional capability. What can we do about them? So they actually don't fit into any of these categories that we have put here, but they need to be also in the picture. CEOs and CTOs, primarily we are looking at to make sure that they understand the hype and the expectations so that they take a proper decision as to and what technology to use and how to decide whether we are doing the technology in the right way. Okay, so this is the kind of why we want that. Makers are bureaucrats. They also need to understand from the marketing hype and the commercialization thrust as to what doing and need not be applied or careful. And research scholars, because as I said, on the research side, we need to catch up a lot. So this is also something very important. A lot of research has issues. I will come back to that in the later slide. We want to look at them also. And of course, the most of the attention is going to focus on engineering and other higher education institutions. So across, if you look at, we want to look at awareness building for the public, for decision makers, for lawmakers. We need to look at infrastructure capabilities, GPUs, high performance computing, because unless you have a very powerful computing infrastructure, most of the AI is not going to work. So a lot of students today doing AI related projects are actually taking toy data set and trying out with their laptop or some small servers. So they don't actually feel the real challenges of building an AI application. So we need to change this and make these things available to them. Algorithms, lot has already been done and lot more work is still going on. Application development, project management, as I said, AI projects need to be managed differently from the normal software technology projects. Ethics and other consideration, advancing the state of the art through research and domain-specific perspectives. So even if you are a civil engineer or you are doing the mechanical engineering or you are doing, financial courses, there is AI elements need to be looked at. What can AI do there? What are the challenges there? So this is the broad picture that we want to cover. So the little bit of detailed recommendations are there in the report. I invite you to go through that briefly. For example, curriculum and repository. we realize that, in a fast changing area like this, saying that, first year you should teach this, second year you should do this, third year you should do this, it makes no sense, because the areas are changing, the local requirements may be there, the students prior background need to be considered. So we have actually come up with a broader framework and some sample structure. I'll show you a screenshot of that. So topics like fundamentals, mathematics, statistics, machine learning, all of these topics need to be looked at. We need to have a mechanism to keep this curriculum up to date. So as and when new things are coming and the new developments are taking place, we need to be able to go and keep the curriculum up to date. So we have suggested that there must be a common portal where people can suggest ideas and continuously revise the curriculums, or recommendations can be populated there. So it can be a part of India AI portal is what we have suggested, that there's a central curriculum component there. We also need to look at AI tools and usage, which is very important, and making tools available, giving proper commentary and advice on effective usage of these tools. These all need to be looked at. So these are some of the recommendations that we have given in terms of on the curriculum side of it. Talent for startups, because a startup working on a specific problem possibly would not want to or will not have the wherewithal to do a very elaborate course on AI or look at all the different aspects of it. So we need to have more focused resources and the capabilities provided to the startups for addressing this. So upskilling the non-IT workforce in Indian startups, establishing mechanisms to share data for research and academic purposes. Because as I said, data is the critical component. So whatever sources we can collect data, we should encourage people to share the data through appropriate measures of privacy, anonymization, and all that. Academia to pursue patents and IPR, cloud-based compute facilities. So these are some of the things in the talent for startup area. We also want to bring in a notion of a collaborative ecosystem where all these players, because there is always an allegation that academia doesn't work with industry, or industry's expectations are not met with academia. So bringing them together in particularly in area like this is very important. So these are some of the things that we have actually put up in the proposal. In order to encourage on the research side, we have suggested promoting research fellowships and grants in multiple institutions, because for a country like India, 10 IITs or 15 IITs is not going to be enough. We need at least 100 or institutions to be very actively pursuing research for India to pick up a leadership position in this area. Support participation in international conferences and journals, provide research mentorship for selected scholars, encourage sharing of AI-related thesis and data science. This is something we feel is very important, particularly because a lot of people are doing the same work in different names or different things that across the country. So all AI-related theses being brought into a central repository can build awareness. What kind of things can I do? What are the pitfalls? What are the open problems? These all things can be facilitated by bringing up these theses, and possibly some reward mechanism to best the thesis and recommended thesis and things like that. And we also have career path mapping. So what are the different kinds of career roles that is meaningful in the AI space? Like AI researcher, machine learning engineer, data scientist, AI architect, NLP engineer, computer vision engineer. There is a bunch of them. This need to be looked at in the context of the national skill development work, because their profile and detailing, if that matches with this, then that will help getting more job opportunities, because that will become a common language for the companies and the academia to talk with. India-specific AI community. During the research space, we had actually created a big group and a network of sharing information. But that was a very primitive days, because that was where there was hardly any World Wide Web or any online mechanism to share things. But the conference was the only channel to do it. So we want to suggest that a national platform for models. So what models are people using for what different kinds of problems, and if that can also be shared, data repository, computational space, and these can all be part of the things that the AI community can share. Training of faculty is a big challenge that we want to look at, because a lot of faculty are moving into teaching AI courses without necessarily having a very elaborate preparation there. Because the interest in AI is kind of something that is overnight coming up. So people from electronics and other areas are jumping into teaching AI. And some of these concerns that I highlighted in the earlier slides becomes a very concern. How deeply do they understand the implications of the technology or the algorithm that they are using? So incentivizing faculty upgradation, facilitate industry internship for faculty dealing with AI topics, regular faculty knowledge upgradation at least every 2 years, training of faculty through industry exposure. So these are some of the recommendations that we have given in the area of getting quality faculty or improving the quality of the faculty that we have in these areas. On the research side, obviously we need to have a little longer path because we don't, I mean, very few colleges have a proper research culture or an environment to do all that. So we have actually created a kind of a pipeline as to what way we should actually go to talent creation in AI to be done. So graduate, postgraduate work to be more AI specific is one aspect of it. AI related research to be given a higher impetus. Academic collaboration with startup and MSMEs can be encouraged so that they pick up real problems in this area. Leverage innovation requirement of Indian startups and all of that. I will not go through all of this. You can leisurely go through these details. Okay, so we also have looked at the taxonomy of areas. What are the different kinds of subject? Was, as I said, recommending one kind of syllabus, saying that you should teach these courses in first year, these courses in second year, doesn't make too much sense. But we could actually create structures and say what are the different kinds of things that we need to cover. Best practices, application specific topics, infrastructure specific topic, technology specific topics, and user level things and awareness and so on and so on. So creating that kind of categorization and then populating courses within that would help institutions to pick and match what kind of things that we want to do in your own curricula for your audience. So if you are talking about teaching, let's say science graduates, what would you want to teach? If you're teaching engineering people, then what would you want to teach? These kind of things can be covered very effectively using a structure that we can create out of this. So we created some initial, mapping of courses into these 4 areas. They are not necessarily final. Some of them are obviously ambiguous whether you should go into this area or that area. But over a period, we would expect that these can be refined into reasonably tight compartments so that you can do pick and choose when you're making syllabus or updating syllabus for your institute. So, as I said, we also want to make sure that you connect with the National Skill Development Forum. So, this is something from there. And when we are doing the mapping, we also want to look at where it belongs there. Because that way, the students who possibly don't complete the program or taking only some part of the courses can actually still apply for appropriate job profiles when in various industries. So, and I mean, as I said, AI is not only a computer science area. It is something that is required across all the domains, from education to banking to shops and commerces to every area. So therefore, the opportunities are there. We need to enable them by doing appropriate levels of marking. So that's what we have done. So we have identified some things for at the school level, diploma level, minor degree, or electives that you can put in various levels, graduate level. So graduate level, we actually, I have actually been advising some colleges on preparing these syllabus. So here, so this is one structure which I think we can all use when you are preparing syllabus. So what we have done, what I told them to do, and which makes it very easy to look at the syllabus overall. This is semester 3 to 8, and mark them as streams. Like for example, the yellow color are basically fundamental courses. The blue color is basically general computer science courses, which are sometimes required for any work in AI also. Data analytics and domain expertise. research-based courses, projects, and so on. So creating these kind of categorization gives you an ability to quickly look at whether you are covering any aspects properly, whether prerequisites are properly taken into account, and for us to adapt to things, where you should add courses, where you should delete courses, or this kind of picture becomes very useful. So this is from one of the engineering colleges here in Bombay that I picked up, and I think this is a model that we can also use for your colleges. And then going further at the PG level, also we have recommended. So the topics may not change a lot, but you get more and more depth as you go further into masters and PhD levels. And of course, as I said, awareness, mass awareness courses or specific group awareness courses is also something that need to be looked at. So that also we have given some references, and we can customize it and adapt it as required for specific target groups. I'm actually getting requests from for example information security groups or even auditors saying, can we also get an introduction to AI, get an understanding of AI. So this is going to be a continuous requirement. I think we should share these things so that common structures and levels can be created across. Lawmakers and government officers, again, the objective is what are we looking at for them is what we have categorized here. Again, getting into details of these courses is not very important at this point, but people are trying to do various things like prompt engineering, ChatGPT tools, ethical AI for good governance. These are kind of topics which might be relevant to this category of users. So, um, yeah, I think I'm kind of running out of time, so I'll try to stop. It is a monologue. So a lot of work is happening in India in the areas of healthcare, agriculture, security. But unfortunately, or maybe I should not say unfortunately, it is most of these are using available technology. For example, you take somebody's data set and take a software like Keras or PyTorch or something like that, and then match it and produce some output. Okay. So what happens is because of the reason I mentioned earlier that AI programs usually will produce an output whatever input you give. So validating whether these are the right things, etc., don't get necessary attention. So in the social media, you can see a lot of AI outputs, fancy graphs, but if you look inside, there's no meaning in it. There's not enough explanation or a reliability factor that has been brought into it. So, lot of work that we are doing, I'm not saying all, okay, there are good work being done at some of the institutions. I mean, I may not even know all of them. So, a lot of them are incremental research, trying to apply these technology into newer problems or getting better accuracy, get a better, different kinds of data sets and so on, so on. This is important, but we need to look at the other side of the picture also. That is, we need to get more institutions to take up serious AI research. And give them or provide them access to good quality data sets of Indian, context. Because, for example, person databases that is used in abroad may not necessarily be applicable here. A lot of face recognition systems don't work too well in Indian data set, if it is trained using, foreign data sets. Making sure that they get access to good amount of compute resources and the shared thesis repository are some of the measures we can take to encourage more of these people to come up with serious AI research. We also need to look at, many times we look at see if, AI is kind of close. We are done. We got the great deep learning algorithms, CNN, RNN, GAN, and all that. And we have data. Once we get enough data and compute, we can solve any problem. This is the myth, right? There are a lot of issues that people are bringing up already, which need to be looked at. And these are very good research problems like federated AI, neurosymbolic AI, explainable AI. And these are very open challenges, which is something that the Indian brains can actually pick up on and then get a leading position for the AI research just in India.
There is also a question that can societies like IEEE, CSI, and other bodies, can they play a role in making this happen? Because this is something that at a government level may not happen adequately, because this is not something that they can actually, might not be able to do quality contribution in this space. Okay, so to wrap up, considering the rapid changes taking place, a specific model or curriculum may not be feasible. So we have actually looked at it as a more of a framework with a path to soak in changes. A curriculum repository portal where these changes can be discussed and adopted, updated. Post plans can be shared. And having said that, there is also a lot of work happening in creating model curriculum for AI, so which we can also borrow and adapt it as applicable. All these things that the committee has come up are more of guidelines, because they need to be discussed and debated to see what are the most effective way to achieve our goal using these kind of stepping stones there. And the ministry is going to look at and see which of these things they are going to implement. But these guidelines, I think each of us can practice it at our levels to reach the goal that we are all trying to look at. So adoption may need to be reviewed in local context and requirements, and that is what we should be looking at in the days to come. So I'll stop here, and we'll take any questions. If you have any questions, I think we can answer them.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Aguila, proceed.
Sir, I will first ask the question that has been asked during the registration process, sir.
Okay.
The first question, how AI is preparing human resources? Is it advantage or disadvantage for human development?
I don't know how to interpret that question. So why? I mean, I think it's saying that how AI is preparing human resources. Is that, I think that's possibly what is meant. So one of the things that I have always been excited about is to use technology for education, and AI, I believe, is a very very strong candidate in contributing to effective education. Partly because in a few, I mean, a similar talk I can give about the challenges of education per se, quality and quantity of teachers, infrastructure, and so on. So, like the virtual labs work that we are doing, proper intelligent tutoring systems, data analytics, learning analytics, which is data analytics applied to education. These are all, offshoots of AI, which has very significant implication for education also. So, if you look at AI-related technologies contributing to building better human capabilities, yes, they are there. But I mean, it's not something very easy for me to answer in a short QA. But there are solutions there. Whether it is advantage or disadvantage, I think is not really a serious question, because see, if you look at any faculty in any discipline, they've always looked at anything that they can lay their hands on to improve the quality of education. So I think we should, I mean, I have always taken the view that no technology should be considered as a replacement of teachers. You look at them as teacher amplifiers. So if I can teach, 10 people physically, I can teach 100 virtually. So if you look at it that way, there is, I mean, there is no need to look at a disadvantage for you bringing AI to education. Of course, there are, people are talking a lot about ChatGPT being used to, forge or create assignment submissions, etc. But they will stabilize with the time, because so people are also learning to look at how to automatically detect whether something is created by ChatGPT. So that's a space which we don't know yet to count on. But if you look at AI broadly, there is a lot more that it can contribute positively than negative.
Thank you, sir. Next question. How far AI tools will help the teachers community to train the students in effective manner?
Yeah, so I think, as I said, no, the new generation tools, I think they still we need to understand them effectively to before we can say to use this or not. I mentioned about ChatGPT, which is getting used positively as well as negatively. We will need to see how that shapes up. But the AI as a whole, I mean, there is the whole field called AI in education, okay, which is to pick up, for example, when a teacher corrects your answer paper, it would be good if the teacher can actually give you constructive feedback on your answers. But this doesn't happen because you are dealing with a huge number of volume and you are under time pressure to complete the evaluation. So you only tick and assign marks and you get the job done. Whereas maybe if you could build an AI system behind, it can go through in more detail in the same time frame and come back with input saying that yes, this is well done, this is something need to be improved, and the teacher can use those inputs to do the evaluation also, and at least the student gets a very meaningful feedback for them to improve their learning. So there is a lot of them. One of my PhD students have actually looked at automatic subjective evaluation. So the advantage of bringing a software solution or a programmatic solution in solving any problem is the possibility that you can track the intermediate points and use that as to produce outputs. That is, feedbacks or constructive inputs or rationale for the decisions, which I'm not saying the teacher doesn't have, but the teacher may not have the time to bring it out and note down things on the answer sheet, and they may not necessarily go back there. Similarly, when you are solving a problem and if you are stuck, teachers may not have the resources to go and help every student at every point, night or day or the weekend to go and help them solve the problem. So they may need to use
Akila?
Sir,
No, his link got cut, I think. Video link.
sir, there, ma'am.
He may not know that it has been cut. Somebody has to. Sir, can you just talk to him, sir?
Yeah, he is joined, ma'am.
Okay.
Sasikumar, sir.
No, he's not there.
Akila, there was a message, the meeting time ended, start on another meeting or something like that. One message came. Is it we restricted the meeting till 7:15 or something?
No, not like that, sir. Actually, it can be extended, sir.
Because I received a message that meeting time over and then you can start another meeting, something like that.
Just 7 only.
With no ending time and all, sir.
Okay. Yeah, because he once or twice he joined and then immediately left.
Yes.
The message was coming.
There is some issue. No, he has joined. Now he has joined.
Yeah, rejoining. Now again joining.
Yes.
Shashi, are you there?
Sir, you are muted.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm keeping the video off because I think maybe network issues.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah,
Yes.
Akila, go on.
Yes,
Video
sir.
is off. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, the next question, sir.
Hmm.
What are the specific jobs that AI is mostly like to displace in the coming years? What skills and training will be needed for workers to succeed in an AI-driven economy?
Okay, that's a very, should I say, difficult question to answer. See, I mean, every technology that has come on the horizon has led to some change in the job scenario. I mean, when taxis came, people worried about the other modes of transport getting changed and so on. But one says that there is a reinvention of these or re-modeling of these skill sets. So where there are certain jobs which even when computers came in, lot of jobs got displaced. Today there are a lot of things talking about saying that with the mobile phone, telephones have gone, calendars have gone, messages have gone, this is gone, that is gone, etc. So these are changes that anyway is happening. But what happens is that we adapt, we reinvent ourselves into newer models. So AI is also bringing in a lot of new avenues like data engineering, processing aspects, visualization people, and those kind of jobs are also coming in from the core area itself. But there is so enumerating saying that these jobs will go or these jobs will remain it makes no sense, because I think anything that can be automated or in course of time people will try to automate. It's not necessarily that that job will disappear. But for example, routine programming is something that may go, because for example, drag and drop and creating user interfaces, any smart system today can do a lot better job than what people can do. But then there are more creative side of software development, which is not going to go away, because that is something that requires intelligence, understanding, client modeling, etc. So the education levels, our work levels need to go a little higher level in terms of the thinking ability, the human processing, and move away from the what should I say, mechanical kind of one. So that's what we do, and that is what we have always been doing in terms of education, and I think that's what is going to continue to happen.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Next question. How has the integration of AI such as Galileo impacted the efficiency of HR processes within your organization?
I have not used the Galileo, so I don't know. I can't answer with respect to that specific technology. And I think Jagannathan is also asking the question. No, I think that is related to something else. Yeah, so HR, why specific about HR? I mean, it is true for accounts, HR, project development, management. All of these are equally vulnerable or equally gaining from these technology. So HR also, some aspects can be taken up. I think one of the interesting thing people are trying to look at is whether to select a candidate or not. I don't think anybody has a universally foolproof way to select a candidate. I mean, we are on positive side or negative side, right? So I think so people are trying to use. I've read somewhere that Some companies are actually asking the candidates to play a game and use the logs from the game as a first level screening process. It's not AI, but it's also good technology because when you are playing a game, you are more relaxed, you are more yourself, and it is easier to judge your true self. So I think every area wants to improve their productivity, and whatever technology comes in as a relevant, they will adapt and adopt. So that I don't look at HR as a special case to look at.
Yes, sir. Next question.
Hmm.
Ethical differences between Indian AI and other AI.
I don't know if I don't know what is intended by the person asking that question. What ethical difference should we bring? I mean, of course, there are cultural differences, etc. But I don't think we should get into that level of things there. It is no technology issues there. We can get into politics, and I don't want to get into it. So yeah, let's look at some
Yes,
meaningful
sir.
questions.
Okay, sir. Sir, next question. What will happen for the job opportunity for human being? Actually, you have answered this question, but again, being when AI replaces the human being in all sectors.
That is not going to happen. I mean, I think it's a long time away. I'm sure human beings are smart enough; they will find their own ways around it. And nobody is talking about replacing human being in all sectors. I mentioned earlier, purely mechanical work, whether, for example, you are bringing lot of machines to do the job that people who are doing in the agriculture sector, harvesting, weed control, pesticide is the thing. We are bringing machines there, no? So like that, you might look at AI also like that only. Anything which is more mechanical structured, there is a possibility that somebody will find. But again, it is not that every farmer is actually using these machines. Many people who can't afford it, who are possibly still using the manual way of doing it. So, I mean, very what should I say? Negative looking questions. I think we don't need to look at it that negative.
Yes, sir. How AI can be used effectively in healthcare?
Healthcare, lots of it is already happening. Particularly, a lot of people working on improved diagnosis. Because, for example, I think you might have heard the Google just retina scanners and something is being used to do a variety of diagnosis. But there are question marks. So I'm not a buyer of all these things that people are talking about because of the reason I mentioned in my talk, the data reliability. So are we looking at adequate data? Are we getting the right kind of distribution of data and so on? But one is improving the quality of decision making to support the doctors by picking up additional information. So if a system can look at general trends in your area or look at models and maybe do more detailed analysis and come back and highlight the doctor that please investigate the possibility of this disease on this person, that's good. So those kind of things, I think a lot of work is going on. People are also looking at in terms of a lot on the area of what should I say, pharmacy area that is to creating new medicines using smart analysis of a huge amount of data, even things like a DNA, RNA analysis. So there is a lot that's happening. I think if you just do a Google on AI in healthcare, you will find lots of reports. So please do that. I think because there is really a lot of work happening in that area.
Next question, sir. This is asked from Mr. Jagannathan. Dear sir, this is the usual procedure followed whenever a new technology emerges to generate the human resources. Is there anything specific that has to be kept in mind while preparing the HR for AI?
So I think if you have listened to what I was talking about, what is HR for AI? You need to look at what is the profile that we are looking at. Are we looking at data engineering level people? Are you looking at prompt engineering level people? Are you looking at project management people? Are you looking at developers? Are you looking at actual programmers? Are you looking at so depending on that category, there are issues. There are obviously issues and technology, technical and as well as other issues that need to be brought into their scope. There is also a general level of understanding about what is the nature of AI application. So as I said, typically a computer science application we do by requirements, design, implementation, testing, and deployment. And once you do the testing, you're supposed to get a reasonably bug-free final product. That never happens with AI. You will never get adequate data for you to say that, okay, this is it, and I'm not going to do anything more than that. So that methodology has to be talked to them. You have to teach them about biases in AI, particularly through data, algorithm, and all that thing. There is a lot of work happening in that area. There is how to interpret the output that you're getting from an AI program is a big question. So as I give the example of male-female classification, just because this output came as let's say positive, I don't want to say that table is the male. Right? You have to look at what is the kind of data that is being given, whether that is within the space or not. So these are all things that you need to look at. So please go through that report in more detail and maybe consult relevant literature. Depending on the category, we will need to look at. There are aspects to be brought into the HR, brought in by the HR on the training programs.
Thank you, sir. Next question. There are many definitions of AI going around the literature. Can you give your perception on what AI is?
Okay, I think another theoretical question. But see, I don't think it really matters as to what I think AI is, what you think AI is. A lot of what we are talking about in AI is solving problems which were beyond the normal levels of automation. So improving diagnosis is an issue. Providing better financial planning is a good thing to do. If AI is going to help you, let it be. So in all of these discussions, AI is just the bunch of technologies or algorithms which gives you an ability to take a classification or categorization beyond what simple logical classification is able to do. But if you look at AI broadly, the AI that we used to work on in those days, it's a much bigger umbrella. There is also the human brain coming in, the comparison between a computer and a human brain. There is also look at literature on artificial general intelligence, which is so. For example, if you take any AI application that you are seeing today, it will work only for that application. You change it to a different application or a different problem, it will bomb fully because it's a completely data-driven model. Whereas a human level intelligence is something that can adapt. Right. So the way I'm actually able to answering your questions, I don't know that these questions are going to come. And I don't know, I'm not even saying that I will take only questions related to HR in AI. Right. I can answer to some level beyond that. So this ability to look at intelligence as a general capability which I can apply to different domains is something that is still work in progress. Okay, so that the question scrolled up. Yeah, so therefore I don't think we should look at one definition of AI and say I will believe this or I will not believe this. There is a bigger perception of artificial intelligence as creating a human-like intelligence on a machine. That's a bigger, longer-term goal, which we are still quite far away from it. There are ramifications of that in different ways. One is these better problem-solving capabilities, which what we are talking about today. There are attempts to reach that level. So the ChatGPT, the kind of things which is able to answer the smarter questions are part of that. So these are all part of that. So I'm not going to go into saying that, okay, this is my definition and you should follow it. You follow whatever definition appeals to you. Okay. Hmm.
The next question. Why still deny or less progress in generative AI in clinical image processing?
I don't understand that question. So who is denying it, or why? So what is generative AI? Generative AI is the ability to create something which could be text, it could be picture, it could be images, where you are talking about creating something programmatically, right? So I want you to write an essay on whatever, or I want you to create a picture of me playing with Sachin Tendulkar in Wankhede Stadium, for example, right? So this is the picture of what generative AI is talking about, whatever is there. Yeah. Where do you see generative AI in clinical image processing? Because clinical image processing, your data is coming from the patient directly. So where is the generation or the creative generation aspect there? If you can clarify that, I can give you maybe more inputs. Otherwise, I think that's what it is. So I don't see clinical image processing as a very good candidate for generative AI in my view.
Okay, sir. Next question. This is from a person named Ramesh Kumaran. The question is, he has used Chat GPT and bad generative AI tools, but when I ask question from maths, theory of computation or cybersecurity, I don't get the correct answer or finite answer. And when I regenerate, I get a new answer, which is wrong all the time. Why it is so far?
That is actually very simple because, as I said, see, generative AI basically is a predictive model. Based on looking at a limited context, it predicts what is the next word or the next pixel or the next area to fill. Okay, none of these actually understands anything. Okay, this picture is changing slowly, but I think as of today, if you ask, they do not have any mental model of what it is talking about. So when it is saying 2 plus 2 equal to 4, it is not looking at it as an arithmetic problem. It is picking it up based on sentences it has found on the net. Where many places, if it says 2 plus 2, okay, 4 is coming, it will tell you it's 2 plus 2 is 4. You can tell the system that 2 plus 2 is not 4, it is actually 5. It will accept it because it has no understanding of what is true, what is correct, and what is false to argue with you. Okay, so this means that the system is not a maths expert or a cybersecurity expert or a computation expert or an expert in anything. Its expertise is purely coming from the data that it is being fed in. So everything is obvious now, right? So it's not necessary to give a correct answer. It is just giving you a prediction. If you give 3 words, I will tell you, I can give you an idea about what could be the fourth word. And that could be wrong or right. Okay. And regenerate is also because it is regenerating the input based on whatever new things it is coming or whatever trained data it has. So it is not trying to, I mean, if you ask me the same question 3 times over 3 different periods at 3 different moods, I'm not going to give you exactly the same sentences answer, right? Idea may be there because I have a mental model and I am trying to articulate it using whatever language I know. But that is not what generative AI is doing. It is giving you an answer that is generated directly without a mental model. So that is why these things may happen. It may change with time, but that's what it is.
Thank you, sir. One last question. Is the government of India's official policy is out? Many countries are coming out with their own policies to regulate. Has India come out with such a policy?
As far as I know, it is not, but this is something you should check with the government websites or something because this is not even at the ministry level. there is work happening at different aspects of that for data protection and all that. But I think I don't have a final answer to give you on that. Please check with the government. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think this
Any
one more,
participants who have any questions to ask, you can just unmute yourself and ask to the speaker.
there is a question on there. I think earlier what was there. So advice for college students. I don't know what advice I can give you. With respect to AI, I would only say that it's a very fascinating area. I started working in AI in 1987 because I was very excited about it, and I'm still very excited about it. But try to understand the subject, go inside, look at the algorithm, why does it work, why it is not doing something, ask those why questions. You will understand the power and the lack of it on any of the technology, not only for AI, for any technology. So go deeper. Don't just look at it as just an applicative model, and contribute, because you have data sets. Take interesting problems that is in your neighborhood to solve them. And in general, also, I think we should look at picking up practical problems around you for the country, for your people, and they can be very interesting technologically also. So why only look at some research paper and pick up that problem for your thesis? Look at your practical problems around you. It could also be very rewarding as well as technically challenging. Other than that, I will not get into a big advice session for students. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful question and answer session and also the presentation, sir. Now I request our chair, CSI chair, Mythili Prakash ma'am, to propose the formal note of thanks.
Thank you, Akhila. Dr. Sasikumar, thank you so much for your valuable presentation on Indian AI preparing the human resources. You have nicely consolidated that is about future skills required with the references and the nature of AI through AI world diagram, which students can easily understand, and the ethics and creeds. Good that you have shared the curriculum framework also, which will be very much, most of the students and the professors have the doubt on that. Apart from that, your elaborate answer and patient answer for all the questions. This webinar actually contained more questions than any other webinar, which elaborate the topic for easy understanding. Thank you so much once again for your time and present this presentation for us. Thank you, participants, for your nice interaction with your question answer and joining with us in this evening. And also, I thank the Joint Society IEEE CS Madras and the ACM who are all always with us for conducting this webinar. As usual, special thanks to Mr. Sir Mohan sir, bringing very eminent speakers for us. Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
Wonderful session.
Thank you, Dr. Sashi, for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I think we'll share the report link to the people, so that they can go through the thing in detail. So anyhow, I have downloaded the report detail, so it's a fantastic report.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.